Hi guys. So in today's episode, we will take a look at this awesome Hex package called SweetXml. And if you have to work with XML at any point while using Elixir, this is by far the best Hex package available for you. And it makes parsing XML very easy and straightforward. So let's get started. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to create a new Mix application called Sweet. Let's cd into that, and I'm going to open this up, and let me open up the mix file first. And the first thing you need to do is you need to add a dependency to SweetXml. Okay, and what's the current version here? Alright, it doesn't matter. We'll just say SweetXml greater than 0.0.0, and that should get us the latest version. So once you do that, you need to do a deps get to get the dependencies. Now with that done, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go to the Sweet module and clear that. And what we need to do here, alright, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to have a simple method called simple parse. Okay, and what it's gonna do is it's going to take a simple file as an example. So let me take this as an example, right? So say simple is that, and what we're trying to do here is we're trying to parse this XML into a proper shape. Okay. And to use SweetXml, you need to do a few things. One is obviously import it in the mix config, and then import the SweetXml module. Now, once you do this, it adds, it's going to import a few a few functions and a few sigils for you to use. Okay, and so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use the parse method and try to parse that string. Okay, and if we look at the output of this, right? So if I say ru.inspect, right? ru.inspect, and so all right. So what we need to do here is to run that, I'll say mix run -e sweet dot simple parse, right? So that's going to run our code, and if you see, it uses XML behind the scenes to give you this node tree. Okay, so it's a list of it's a tree containing tuples of XML elements and XML text. So we don't want to go through this and parse everything, using pattern matching or whatever, right? What we want is we want a simpler way to parse this information. So SweetXml provides us with that. Okay, so one thing SweetXml gives you is a nice XPath helper, which can be used to. So let's say I'm going to say XPath at, and this takes a path using the sigil ~x, which is provided by SweetXml. Okay, so this x sigil is imported because we are importing SweetXml here. Okay, and here let me just get the note 2. Okay, so the way you do that is you say note 2, and I'm going to just print this out. So I'll say io.inspect. Okay, and now if we run this, it says, it gives us that. Well, we know XPath, and from our knowledge of XPath, we know that this is how we extract text. So now we have text, but if you see, it's actually giving us a list of characters. Okay, so the X sigil also takes a bunch of options. Okay, one of them is S, which stands for a string. So if you put that, now when you run it, it's going to give us tough, which is a string. So you can see it has surrounding double quotes instead of single quotes. All right. So, so that's how you get an element from inside an XML document, right? But often we don't want to just get one element, right? We want to get multiple elements, right? So, in cases like those, there is a function called xmap, which let's take a quick look at the syntax of that, okay? Because I don't remember the syntax. Right. So here, if you see, xmap takes the parsed document, and it also takes a keyword list containing the attributes and XML sigils. Okay, so let me explain that with an example here, right? So here, xmap. So let's say we want to get this inside of a map containing a node key. Okay, so that's what we're doing here, and I'm also going to say that this is going to start from the node. Okay, so let me be consistent here. Yeah, it's going to start from the node. Okay, so what we've done here is we're saying start with the node. Okay, and then here I'm going to say 2 is going to be the 2 node, and I want to get the text out of it. Okay, and from is going to be take the text from the from node. Okay, so that's good enough for us. Let's take a look at the output of that. Okay, and it's not as we expected. Okay, so there's something wrong here. Can we figure this out? Let's see. So the syntax here is xmap takes a list, a keyword list, where the key is an atom, and the list and the value is another list. And okay, so so let's actually take a look at the error. So, oh yeah, so you see, one of the things which often bites me with XML, SweetXml, is it expects an X sigil here. Okay, and so this sigil can also be like a normal sigil enclosed in a pair of double quotes, but I try to use square brackets to to make it very clear that if we are missing something, if I'm using a string instead of an X sigil, so that should fix it. And if you see now, we have a map with a key node, right? And inside of it we have a from. We have another map which is a from and a to. Okay, so that's nice. Let's make this a little more interesting. Okay, so I'm going to add another node here. Okay, and I'm just going to do some minimal changes here, and I'll say forget me this weekend. Yeah, all right, so that's fine, and we'll put this in a pair of nodes tags. Okay, so that's fine, right? So now we have a nodes tag which is surrounding the whole document. Inside of it we have nodes, inside of it we have two body and two from heading and body, right? So now if you think about XML and XPath, we'll have to make a few changes, right? So the first thing is actually something which has to do with the names. So what we want here is I want to get all the nodes, okay? And a node is going to have a path nodes/node, right? So the node is inside of a nodes node. So that's the XPath for that. And this stuff doesn't change. And there's another thing which we need to tell SweetXml about. So let me actually show you. If I run this, let's see what happens. Okay, so it just gives us nodes and just one element. Okay, because we haven't told XML SweetXml that we are expecting multiple node elements, okay? And the way you tell it that is by putting an L modifier beside the X sigil. So L stands for a list, okay? So that is nice. So now if you run it, if you see, nodes is a list of nodes, right? So that's good. Now let's actually parse a few more things, and before that, let's make this a string, because this is a string, and I'm gonna add a heading and a body, okay? And heading and body are, you know, straightforward XPaths. So now if we run this, we have nodes, which is a list containing body from heading and to, and two elements in that list, because we have two nodes in the input document, okay? So you can keep nesting this till, you know, any level, okay? And okay, let me do one more thing. So here, what I've done is I've removed the body, and the body is empty in the second node, okay? You can also say that body is optional by putting an O modifier, okay? So now when we do that, well, yeah, so in this case it doesn't matter because it's just using an empty string, okay? But let's say node also had an ID, okay? And so ID and ID of 1 and ID of 2, okay? So an ID would not be a string, but let's just use a string for starters, okay? Let's say ID is that, and if I run this, now we have ID, which is being parsed as a string. If you wanted, we can make it, we can let SweetXml try to convert it into an integer by putting an I modifier, okay? So once I do that, now the ID is actually an integer, right? So it has a bunch of other modifiers, so you can go through the documentation to see, what those are, right? L for list, K for keyword, S for string, and capital S. So a lot of other options, right? So F for float and stuff like that, okay? All right, so that's nice. Is there anything we missed here? Yeah, so one thing which we didn't look at is the level of nesting which you can, you know, have here. So here, let's say we also have categories, okay? And if we have categories, and let's say this is category, and say category has an ID of 3, and here category name is, this is inbox, and it also has a category ID of 5, which is important. Okay, so now to get the categories, all you have to add is you need to add a categories atom, and so we want a sigil there, categories / category, which is going. So one thing we want to do here is we want to say this is categories, but this is going to have nested parser, okay, where category is a list, and so this is okay. So the way it is going to work is it's going to, okay, so let's actually write out what we need here. So for now, I'm just going to say category name is going to be categories /text, right? Now let's see if that works, right? So we have categories, and if you look at that, we have name and important and name and inbox, right? And that's a list containing multiple maps, right? But if you want, you could also say if you just want the names as a string of list of strings, you could just say I want a list of strings here, Okay, and now what? Okay, so here we want text, right? We want to extract the text nodes, and now if you see, it's a list of categories, but they're strings instead of maps, right? And finally, let me show you another thing here. So here we've extracted the name, and let's say we also want the ID. Okay, now the ID is an attribute, right? So in XPath, the way you get the ID is by using the at prefix, right? So now that should give us, and we'll also say it's an integer, right? So now that should give us IDs and names, right? So if you look at that, we have IDs and names, which IDs are integers, right? So I've had a lot of fun with using SweetXml in my projects, and it's very neat, it's very intuitive. The DSL is very, very nice. I've enjoyed parsing XML, if you can imagine, right? Parsing XML is a big pain. Anyway, it also has these transform functions. So we actually saw the transform functions where you can say this is a string. So these are present by default. But if you also want to do more conversion or more transformation on individual nodes and individual elements, you can use the transform by function, and it has a lot of other goodness. So the next time you're using Elixir to parse XML, go ahead and give SweetXml a try. It's a very, very good library. So I recommend this a lot. All right, awesome. So that's it for this episode. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye.